Hi there. I wish to welcome you to my class. And in our today's class, we shall be talking about one of the learning disabilities known as dyslexia. The term dyslexia is used to cover a wide range of learning problems. It refers to a specific difficulty in learning, either in inborn or acquired, in reading, spelling, and written language. This may also be accompanied by difficulty in number work. It is a neurological condition in which the child has tremendous difficulty acquiring language skills, even though he or she may be intellectually bright with oral skills so that she or he is able to go through the early classes. Dyslexia is a broad term defining a learning disability that impairs a person's fluency or accuracy in being able to read, write, and spell, and which can manifest itself as a difficulty with phonological awareness, phonological decoding, orthographic coding, and auditory short-term memory. Dyslexia is separate and distinct from reading difficulties resulting from other causes, such as the non-neurological deficiency with vision or hearing, or from poor or inadequate reading instruction. Although dyslexia is not an intellectual disability as such, it is considered both a learning disability and a reading disability. Dyslexia and IQ are not interrelated, since reading and cognition develop independently in individuals who have dyslexia. Now, I want us to look at the symptoms of dyslexia. What are the symptoms? The symptoms includes the following. 1. Difficulties with spelling. Spelling is the activity which causes most difficulty for dyslexic children. Noticing spelling errors in short, simple words is the way in which most dyslexic children first come to our attention. Examples of words which cause particular difficulty are any, many, island, said, they, because, enough, and friend. Other words will sometimes be spelled in the way that they would expect them to be spelled if our spelling systems were rational. For example, does, they spelled as does, please, please, knock, knock, such, such, journey, journey. Dyslexic children also experience difficulty with jumbled spellings. These are spelling attempts in which all the correct letters are present, but are written in the wrong order. Examples include dos, das, friend, friend, said, said, pole, blue, because, and war, was. These are jumbled words, jumbled spellings that shows that the child is experiencing difficulty with visual memory. Non-dyslexic children and adults often use their visual memory when trying to remember a difficult spelling. They write down 2 or 3 possible versions of the word on a spare piece of paper and see which spelling looks right. They are relying on their visual memory to help them. But the visual memory of a dyslexic child may not be adequate for this task. The other symptoms of dyslexia is confusion over left and right. A fairly quick way to establish this type of confusion is to ask a child to point to your left foot with his or her right hand. If you try similar instructions in a non-threatening environment, you'll soon be able to see if this causes difficulties or not. You may also notice difficulties with east and west, or in following directions like go to the end of the road and turn left and then right. Other symptoms include writing letters or numbers backwards. Some children may mix up B and D, or even P and the number 9. These letters are the same in their mirror image and cause regular confusion for a dyslexic person. Some people make a point of always writing the letter B as an uppercase B, as they find this much easier to remember in terms of the direction it faces. The other symptom is difficulties with maths. One feature of dyslexia is difficulties with sequencing, getting things in the right order. Maths depends on sequences of numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. The other symptom is difficulties organizing themselves. Dyslexic children may have genuine difficulties with planning and thinking ahead, like deciding when a book or a pen might be needed next. The other symptom of dyslexia is difficulty following 2 or 3 step instructions. For example, go to Mrs. Brown and ask her if Peter Smith is in school today. Oh yes, and ask if I can borrow her dictionary. Such an instruction is just too much for a dyslexic child. It involves both sequencing and memory skills, and you would be very surprised to see a dyslexic child returns with a dictionary and information about Peter Smith. So lastly, I want us to look at the interventions. What are we going to do, or what should teachers do in order to help learners with dyslexia? The following items should provide useful guidelines to teachers and parents to follow and support. 1. Outlining what is going to be taught in class and ending the lesson with a resume of what has been taught. In this way, information is more likely to go from a short-term memory to a long-term memory. When homework is set, it is important to check that the child correctly writes down exactly what is required. Try to ensure that the appropriate worksheets and books are with the child to take home. Number 2, make sure that messages and day-to-day classroom activities are written down and never sent verbally. That is music, physical education, swimming, etc. The other intervention would be encourage good organizational skills by the use of folders and dividers to keep work easily accessible and in an orderly fashion. Break tasks down into small, easily remembered pieces of information. The other intervention is if visual memory is poor, copying must be kept to a minimum. Notes or handouts are far more useful. Set the child fairly near the class teacher so that the teacher is available to help. Others includes use different color chalks for each line if there is a lot of written information on the board. or underline every second line with a different colored chalk. Ensure that the writing is well spaced. Leave the writing on the blackboard or the chalkboard or the whiteboard long enough to ensure the child doesn't rush or that the work is not erased from the board before the child has finished copying. A structured reading scheme that involves repetition and introduces new words slowly is extremely important. This allows the child to develop confidence and self-esteem when reading. Don't ask pupils or learners to read a book at a level beyond their current skills. This will instantly demotivate them. Save the dyslexic child the ordeal of having to read aloud in class. Reserve this for a quiet time with the class teacher. Alternatively, perhaps give the child advanced time to read a pre-selected reading material to be practiced at home and the day before. This will help ensure that the child is seen to be able to read out loud along with other children. All children should be encouraged to proofread, which can be useful for initial corrections of spellings. Dyslexic children seem to be unable to correct their spelling spontaneously as they write, but they can be trained to look out for errors that are particular to them. So that marks the end of this topic on dyslexia. So it's always good to have, as teachers need to have information about this type of learners. Thank you.